Right now on the National Weather Desk, severe weather as one tornado touches down near Denver. A Texas community faces cleanup following a deadly twister.
We barely got the basement door shut and it hit. It just destroyed everything.
It just makes you cry.
Tracking the tropics, not one but two tropical storms are active in the Atlantic. Texas heat. As the state sizzles under triple-digit temperatures, we'll show you how to keep your car safe in the extreme heat.
Dead batteries, flat tires, and engine problems, all of those are exacerbated by the heat.
Not so peachy. What a cold spring means for one state's peach crop.
It'll grow to a certain point and then it just quits growing.
And debunking some myths about your home air conditioning.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And good morning to you, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen, and it was another day of severe weather as a tornado ripped through a Denver suburb yesterday afternoon. Now, the twister brought down trees and power lines, leaving a 6-mile-long path of destruction. Many homes damaged, too. Now, the good news is there are no serious injuries. The National Weather Service preliminary assessment is that the tornado was an EF1, which means winds were between 86 and 110 miles per hour. And that same system produced some nasty hailstorms in Denver. On Wednesday night, the hail fell at the famed Red Rocks Amphitheater. People there at a concert took shelter as golf ball-sized hail fell on them, and as many as 90 people were hurt. Well, much of Matador, Texas lies in ruins this morning, 36 hours after a powerful tornado ripped through the North Texas town. 4 people were killed and 10 others injured after the tornado struck Wednesday evening. Many buildings are simply gone, blown away by the powerful winds. The community's residents are now trying to figure out how to rebuild. Reporter Farrah Walton is in Matador and spoke with some of the survivors.
I was in there maybe 5 seconds before it just crashed outside the door.
Homes ripped apart, families digging through the rubble trying to salvage anything that may have survived. Ken Marshall says he owned what used to be his home for 33 years.
We raised our kids here and pretty much, and grandkids, and we ate dinner out here every Sunday.
Pat Smith, the mayor of Matador, says people are coming from all directions to help clean up the houses and businesses destroyed.
These people are coming from I don't know where. I don't even know who was working on my place.
Meanwhile, others are remembering the moments of Wednesday night.
We got inside, shut the door, and we were standing in our kitchen, and we barely got the door shut, and we heard the sirens go off in town. And we just ran to the basement. We barely got the basement door shut, and it hit. It just destroyed everything.
Nikki Dempsey says her entire roof fell in on the stairs leading to her basement. Once she got out, her home wasn't her home anymore.
Back here you can see where our pins were. We had a barn there, and you can just see it's gone. Like everything is just, it's just gone.
Well, other parts of Texas were impacted by storms overnight Wednesday. The city of Rotan, located about 200 miles west of Dallas, was hit especially hard. Heavy winds damaged buildings, ripped off roofs, and took down trees and power lines, leaving a path of destruction. Cleanup efforts are underway, but it's still unclear if the storm was a tornado or severe straight-line winds. Luckily, there were no reports of major injuries. And now to the tropics, where we are tracking not one, but 2 tropical storms in the Atlantic right now. We'll first start with Tropical Storm Bret, packing winds of 60 miles per hour, moving towards the west at 18 miles per hour. Now, the storm is going to track just south of the major islands, weakening to a depression by early Sunday. Then Tropical Storm Cindy, churning in the central southern Atlantic, moving west-northwest. Now, this storm is expected to weaken by a depression midweek next week, but you should continue to stay updated with the forecast. This is the first time 2 tropical storms have formed east of the Lesser Antilles in the month of June. And the heat continues in Texas today after yesterday's cool down in Austin, where temperatures were in the 70s. Things are heading back into the triple digits. You can see here with the 7-day forecast, the temperatures are forecast to be above 100 degrees for at least the next week. The intense heat can be a risk to human health, but the high temperatures can also have some unexpected consequences. As Betty Cross reports, your car can also be impacted by the high heat.
Tires can be one of your car's weak points in this triple-digit heat. Hot asphalt can create a lot of friction on underinflated tires, causing them to overheat and possibly blow out. AAA says highway surface temperatures in the summer can reach 150 degrees.
Of course, if you're driving at highway speeds, that rapid loss of air pressure can be very dangerous and make it difficult to control your vehicle.
Scorching temperatures can also zap a car battery.
And if you're driving it in excessive heat, that can lead to evaporation of battery fluid, and it can also cause a buildup of corrosion on your battery terminals, which can shorten the life of your battery.
Summertime heat doesn't just dehydrate people. A car's fluid levels, including motor oil, will evaporate and have to be replaced more frequently. Regular maintenance can help drivers avoid AAA's top 3 roadside rescues.
Dead batteries, flat tires, and engine problems, all of those are exacerbated by the heat we're seeing right now.
The sun will also quickly turn your car into an oven. The Texas Heat Stroke Task Force has a special temperature gauge that shows the difference between the inside and outside temperatures. 93 degrees outside can have the inside of a car baking at 138. That's a 45-degree difference. To lower the temperature, park in the shade, crack your windows, and use a sunshade.
Well, it has been a wet week for many portions of the South. Today, people are still cleaning up from those rising waters. The problems stretch from the Carolinas to the Gulf Coast. We have 2 reporters this morning, starting with Karis Harmon in Mobile, Alabama.
Water started just, coming in really fast on both sides. I looked out on my front porch, and it was probably about 6 inches deep.
The water rushed into his house. He put appliances like his refrigerator on cinder blocks. Walker isn't the only person in his community that is now having to deal with Mother Nature's repercussions. His next-door neighbor, Andrew Adams, tells me he had 3 inches of water inside of his home.
Basically, the only thing you could do at that moment is just look around you and everything's destroyed.
The 2 neighbors say they know why they get such bad flooding on their street. Drainage ditches that don't work.
The drainage system could not keep up with the rain. And like I said, that's the first time in 7 years that we've actually flooded out here.
Do their job and get out here and get these ditches cleaned out. I don't want to have to keep going through this here, and especially we got hurricane season.
So many of the people who live in the town and country homes in Kannapolis are feeling stressed and worried about their future here. They showed us the power supply that was drenched by dramatic flooding in this Tiffany Drive community.
We have water right here. It's a miracle it didn't go inside.
The inside of Richard Keister's home is fine, but outside, there's significant damage. He and his wife shared these photos of the floodwater and the damage. This is the 4th time in 4 years they've experienced flooding. He says it was the worst of them all.
I don't want to lose my place, but at the same time, I can't really stay here if it keeps doing this.
Well, Lake Tahoe along the California-Nevada border is one of the nation's most beautiful lakes. Unfortunately, invasive species are threatening to change the color of the lake's famous deep blue water. The harmful plants and animals get into the lake by stowing away on a boat, kayak, or other watercraft that is put into the water. Local organizations are working to educate people about how to identify and report the invasive species. There's also a boat inspection program to find the invaders before they get into the lake. $3 million in federal funding was recently secured to help combat the problem. And we know global sea levels are rising, but now we can see just how much. NASA shared this animation showing sea level changes between 1993 and 2022. Over those 3 decades, sea levels have risen about 3.5 inches. Now, that might not seem like much, but think of this animation as kind of a visual metaphor. So NASA says it's designed to look like a porthole on a boat as you watch water lap outside the window. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, why things are less than peachy for this year's peach crop. And visiting waterfalls can be risky. How to stay safe if you decide to go on this type of chase. And we'd love to share your weather content on air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back.
Well, we're looking at some sunshine up towards the north for your Friday, and then a good deal of clouds down towards areas like Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and also the chance for some showers, maybe even a couple downpours, but a better chance all throughout the northeast as we head into the day Saturday for some more widespread showers and even some thunderstorms as well. But high temperatures today are going to top out in the 70s for areas in southern New England, warmest 86 up towards Caribou, Maine.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We'll have showers off and on as we start the day. Then by the afternoon, there is the chance for areas of storms and heavy rain. Rain will continue overnight leading into Saturday morning. And by the afternoon, there will be another chance for showers and potential storms. Temperatures this afternoon reach the 70s and the 80s. Then overnight, numbers drop to the 60s and the 70s.
Good Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg with a look at your southeast regional forecast. We're taking a look at our next weather maker, this upper level low, spinning with cold temperatures aloft. Spotty showers and storms will pop up for areas near Tennessee, North Georgia, Alabama, North and South Carolina. Perhaps some heavier storms across parts of the Florida Panhandle and Peninsula later in the day and later on into your Friday evening. Temperatures are going to be pretty hot out there, but pretty normal. 80s for most of the southeast, some 90s along the west coast of Florida.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Alabama farmers have had a tough year. They're now seeing the effects that freezing temperatures back in March are having on their crops. Valerie Bell reports on what that means for this year's harvest.
At Mountain View Orchard, some peaches, like the July Prince, are doing well and will be ready for picking.
It's got a lot of good color, and then like you said, we got all these peaches that are beside it that are real small. That was freeze damage. Even peaches up to that size, the seed is ruptured, so like it'll grow to a certain point and then it just quits growing.
Peach grower Andy Millard says these mid-season peaches are making up for some of the loss, but it's still short, with only 25% of their crop.
But the March freeze was tough. We did what we could. We flew helicopters trying to protect our crops.
And the impact? They won't be able to fill a lot of their shipping orders of peaches to other states.
Our wholesale end is really suffering. We're able to have peaches here at the farm, so local people can come buy peaches. We'll have plenty for them.
While some places like Mountain View Orchards are fortunate enough to have some of their peaches, other farms have lost their crop completely.
You know, usually when it gets down to 26, 27 or so, when we're in bloom, we can do something about that. But when it gets just that cold, there's only so much you can do.
For farmers like Millard, while this year was tough, they haven't dealt with a freeze like that since 1996. So there's hope for the future of peaches here.
You don't have them every year, so we know that next year will be better.
Well, in the summer, we all get outdoors and do more activities in nature, and a common one is hiking to local waterfalls. But often waterfalls do involve risk. Megan Danahay is in western North Carolina with a look at ways that you can stay safe when visiting these flowing waterways.
Slick rock falls. Be careful on the rocks because they're slick. Yeah. That's the message there.
Tucked along miles of trail and scenic roadways, waterfalls are a great way to enjoy nature and engage all the senses.
Waterfalls are wild, and they're not inherently safe, so you need to be very concerned about knowing where you're going, watching your footing, watch what you're wearing.
You know, when folks are climbing down the trail, they can hear the waterfall, they can see the vantage point
to where they may be able to get a glimpse of the falls, and that's when they kind of get in a hurry. And pay attention to those exposed roots, loose rocks, wet areas.
Most popular waterfalls in western North Carolina have one thing in common: a trail that leads to a safe vantage point at the bottom.
Unfortunately, here at Big Bradley, the most popular trail and actually the shortest route actually leads visitors to the top of the falls or to a rock overlook where they can view the falls from a distance. And we've seen fatalities occur at both of these sites, so there was kind of a need to address each one individually, at least from a safety perspective.
The area around Big Bradley Falls in Polk County was declared a restricted zone in 2020, prohibiting entry without prior authorization. In 2022, improvements on the main trail were completed that included signs and fencing to keep people off a small path that leads to the top of the waterfall. And a rock wall was completed above the rocky outcrop where 7 people have fallen to their deaths since 2000.
Never, for whatever reason, access or get to the top of a waterfall. The views are typically lousy. It's loud up there, it's wet. There's just really no reason that you should be on top. You're going to have a better experience viewing the waterfall from the bottom and playing in the water below the waterfall than you would being up top.
And if you do decide to head outside and take advantage of the summer weather, the UV rays of the sun can pose a risk to your health. Meteorologist Mitchell Coombs explains how these rays are measured and tips to protect ourselves this summer.
There are 3 types of UV rays: UVA, UVB, and UVC. Small amounts of UVA and UVB radiation are necessary for our bodies to produce vitamin D. However, overexposure to UV radiation leads to sunburn in the short term, and if severe enough, can be considered a first-degree burn. In the long term, increased UV exposure can increase the risk of developing skin cancer. Fortunately, our atmosphere blocks or absorbs some of the UVA and UVB rays and all of the most harmful UVC rays. The amount of UV radiation coming into an area is measured on the UV index. A UV index of 0 to 2 is considered very low and in general will result in a sunburn within about an hour. 3 to 5 is considered a moderate UV index with a burn time of about 45 minutes. Continuing up the scale, 6 to 7 is high with sunburn occurring within about a half an hour, and 8 to 10 is measured as very high. Sunburns can result in less than 10 minutes when an extreme UV index of 11 plus is measured. Sunburns are most common during the summer and on sunny days. However, they can still occur on a cloudy day and during the winter. They'll just take a little bit longer to occur. Altitude also plays a key role in sunburn timing. At higher elevations, there is less atmosphere to absorb UV rays, so sunburns can occur more rapidly. To stay safe from UV rays this summer, here are a few tips to follow. Minimize sun exposure between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. When outdoors, seek shade and wear protective clothing like a wide-brimmed hat or some UV-blocking sunglasses. Generously apply broad-spectrum SPF 30 or higher sunscreen every 2 hours, even on cloudy days and especially after swimming or sweating. And watch out for bright surfaces such as sand, water, and even snow. These reflect UV rays and can increase exposure.
Well, for most of us now, it's hot enough to crank up the air conditioning. But did you know that there are some misconceptions about how air conditioning units work? Chelsea Burrows debunks some of these myths.
It's hot outside and folks are heading indoors to keep cool by using their air conditioning. Air conditioning has existed for decades to keep us warm or cool depending on the weather outside, but there have been many misconceptions. Rick Mayo, the general manager of Block Plumbing, tells us some air conditioning myths.
One myth is that the air conditioner actually puts cold air in the house. Actually, it doesn't put cold air in the house or structure. It actually removes the heat and moisture from the air that's already inside and kind of recycles it through the system and makes it feel cooler and drier, basically.
Air conditioning plays a major role for many of us succumbing to heat-related illnesses. Dr. Gary Goodnight, the medical director of Taylor County, says that staying in air-conditioned rooms is good for our health.
Staying cool, dressing cool, maybe even if you're outside, throwing a cool towel around your shoulders if you're working outside. But most important is staying hydrated.
Well, it's a biker's bazaar in Johnstown, Pennsylvania this weekend. This year's a special anniversary of the rally celebrating hogs and all kinds of motorcycles. Johnstown meteorologist Tony Martin has the forecast for this weekend's event.
One of the largest motorcycle rallies in the United States and the largest one in Pennsylvania, kicking off. Thunder in the Valley, downtown Johnstown, runs through June 25th. This year is the 25th anniversary for the rally. And weather-wise, a couple of thunderstorms around on Friday, upper 70s. Upper 70s again on Saturday with a lesser chance of rain, a little drier, a little brighter. And then on Sunday, as things are winding down, 82, clouds and sun, and just a small chance of an afternoon thunderstorm.
Time for a short break, but first let's take in vineyard views from above.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We still have the rain across the Dakotas and out to the west. That will move east over the coming days. Ohio Valley's wrapping up that low pressure that's been plaguing them a lot of the week. So everything starts shifting a little bit more to the east on Saturday and could see some strong storms as we head into the weekend as well. So make sure to stay weather aware, especially across the Ohio Valley on Sunday, and then a little wet early next week.
Well, a good Friday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Huchet. Look at our forecast today across the region, and we'll be on the lookout for a few heavy storms that could go severe. Texas Panhandle, West Texas, also some of Oklahoma as well. See those afternoon temperatures, 80s and 90s to 103 in El Paso. We head into the evening. Could be tracking a complex of storms dropping south, wind and some hail. And then here's Saturday's forecast. Really looks pretty good across the region. A lot of sunshine, highs in the 90s and low 100s.
Well, TGIF, everybody. Happy Friday morning, the first one of the summer season. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Summertime heat definitely back in shape in the Pacific Northwest. We'll soar to about 80 today in the Emerald City, 81 out of Boise, and back to the triple digits here in southern Arizona. Notice the June gloom keeping temps back into the 60s in San Francisco Bay. Still a few thunderstorms getting triggered over the Rockies and a few sprinkles near the LA coast. And that's the scene from here.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
In Redding, California, the Forest Service has teamed up with local colleges to give students an opportunity to help reduce the spread of wildfires. Anna Mortimer has the story.
Hers Campground, one of the spots that we've been working in the last few years to try and improve the forest health.
And this year, they're doing so by giving the students an in-person crash course on cutting down brush and thinning out some of the overgrown forest. And this course is so relevant as just last summer, a campfire had spread to the surrounding area, but thanks to the Forest Service's thinning of the area, the fire was put out very quickly.
People are able to camp here now where maybe they wouldn't have if that fire would have gotten out.
Which is why it's a perfect area for these students to learn, but also great preparation as we head into fire season.
We can teach these students everything they need to know about wildland fire, about working with the equipment, about making things fire safe.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search at the National Weather Desk for the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. so much for joining us today. Now, Monday on the National Weather Desk, we're going to show you ways to protect your garden from deer and other wildlife. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, and we can't wait to see you back here on Monday. Take care.